Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is May 5th, 2025. And today is Monday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, crude oil gapping down. But first, no major economic events scheduled for today. So looking at the market, starting out with the Forex symbols, we're watching the Japanese yen fade after that jump from last week. And looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ continue to gain. As we shift over to the commodities, we're watching gold really unchanged while natural gas actually pushing higher. Now looking at the stocks, most of the stocks did gain and continue to climb. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin traces lower. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go with the Japanese yen. Now it is fading just a little bit, not a big deal. About 100 pips, not big, not a bad retracement, but this is what I want to highlight. We're in between two major moving averages, the 30-day moving average and the 8-day moving averages, and we retrace from that 30-day moving average, which was a beautiful zone. So we're all intents and purposes, we're still on a downwards momentum or a consolidation. So keep that in mind, because 140 was a significant supportish level, and we could still get back to that. So keep that on the radar. Now jumping into commodities, gold really unchanged here at 32.62. However, crude oil, this was a big move this past morning where it did gap down significantly. I mean, if you look at a 1 hour chart, you could see that much clearer. We were trading at 58, and we gapped down to $55 a barrel. That's $3. That's a decent move, and now we're recovering. Question is whether or not we're going to do a closing in the gap, okay, which might still be the case. We may be back here, but you don't want to, trade, you don't want to chase this down, and it significantly has gotten weaker. Okay, I'm looking at a daily chart. It is, all-time lows since 2020. That is significant. Okay, that was post-corona. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, looking at natural gas the other way, did gain a little bit this past week from 329 up to 356. It's a percentage move in natural gas. That's a huge move on the upside. Now, looking at the stock markets, okay, the U.S. stock markets, we're looking at the Dow Jones on a weekly chart. You could see that by and large, we did get a pretty decent bounce. Okay, now I do expect it to bounce a little bit further. Okay, it needs to go back to that 50%, which is somewhere between that 42,000 and 41,000. Okay, so about 500 points. Let's see if it does get to that. Now, looking at the tech stocks, it did recover quite nicely. Still below 20,000 just now. Okay, but did hit 20,000 last week. Now, looking at the stocks, the only stock that didn't go higher, Apple. Apple had a hard day last week. Okay, has some concerns with their profit margins and, going forward. So it was down on the week. Looking at Facebook, though, it's still relatively strong on the upside. If we look at some of the other tech stocks, Microsoft had that big gap up and go. So it's very stock specific. It's not across the board that we're seeing these gains, and that's super important. JP Morgan did make a comeback last week, and this week we do have FOMC, so that's surely going to affect it. And Netflix continues to make all-time record highs at 11.55. Unbelievable. I mean, this thing is really, really strong. And if we look at the commerce or consumer sector, Amazon's doing much. Okay, so a little bit of very spotty situation in the markets right now. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, retracing to 94K from hitting that 96K last week. A nice push up. Okay, I'd like to see it consolidate. I don't want to see it retracing back to below 90K, but we do have supporters level at those areas. So keep that in mind. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.